There are a variety of styles when it comes to carnitas. Some add a little citrus into the mix, usually orange juice, and a few recipes I've seen actually add cola to the cooking pot. But today, Christie's going to cook them the old-fashioned way with just 3 basic ingredients.
That's right, Julia. Carnitas is simply pork shoulder that's cooked low and slow in hot fat.
Yeah, it's kind of halfway between a braise and a deep fry.
Right. And at Carnitas Urupan, they insist on doing it properly and traditionally with lard. So I have 2 pounds of lard here.
And that's store-bought lard.
Store-bought lard. And I'm going to cut it into 8 pieces. It's very easy to cut, super soft. And we're cutting it up because we want it to melt pretty quickly. So I'm just going to scoot this into my Dutch oven, put it over medium-low heat, and let this melt. It's important to buy good quality lard. If you're not sure what high quality lard is, you want to avoid any lard that has citric acid in the list of ingredients because it's going to impart a sour flavor that just tastes unnatural. Now let's talk about the pork because that's the star of the dish. Now you'll see carnitas made from several different cuts of pork, sometimes multiple cuts in the same dish. So pork shoulder, ribs, even pork belly in any combination. We decided to streamline it and keep it a little simpler, so we're just starting with a pork butt, which is actually cut from the shoulder. Since we're cooking this in fat, we don't have to trim it.
Ooh, that's
all the
easy
fat,
prep.
Exactly, all the fat goes right into the pot. So I am going to cut this into 2-inch pieces so it cooks a little more quickly. And they don't have to be perfect, just about the same size. I have a 4-pound piece here. This is gonna serve about 8 to 10 people.
Not in my house.
All right, as you mentioned, you can find carnitas seasoned all different ways. Carnitas Urupan made just simple, porky carnitas, and we loved it.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted, just a clean flavor of pork and a little salt. So I have 1.5 tablespoons of kosher salt, and before I put the pork into the fat, I'm going to sprinkle it all over with the salt.
Worth noting that if you were going to use table salt instead of kosher salt, you'd use about half the amount.
Okay, that looks good, well seasoned. Let me check my lard. All right, looks like my lard is fully melted. So now we're ready to go swimming. Carefully, carefully. All right, I just want to make sure that the pork is as submerged as I can get it. All right, now I'm just going to increase my heat to medium-high. I want to let this come to a vigorous simmer. We want to get it nice and hot, and then we're going to transfer it to the oven.
Okay.
So our mixture is bubbling vigorously, but now we're going to move it in the oven so that we can get even heat and hands-off cooking because it's going to be 2.5 hours.
Ooh, okay.
Until we have really nice, super tender meat. So I have the oven set to 300 degrees. It'll be in there for 2.5 hours till it's nice and tender.
Oh goodness, that is pretty.
Look at that. See all that beautiful browning? The real test is it tender? So I have my trusty spider here. I'm going to carefully scoop up 1 piece, and we'll just test it with a paring knife. Well, that kind of slides in like butter.
It sure does.
I think we're good, but this is super hot right now, which makes it really difficult and not so safe to strain and transfer. So we're just going to let this hang out for about half an hour. In the meantime, we have other things to do.
Okay.
So let's move over here. We're going to make a super easy tomatillo salsa, starting with a 28-ounce can of tomatillos that I've drained and divided in half.
Okay.
To this half a can, I'm adding a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, and we'll just stir this to make sure that they're nice and coated. All right. And now I'm just going to place these on my rimmed baking sheet that I've lined with aluminum foil for easy cleanup. Just give them some space. Now I have my oven rack set 6 inches from the broiling element, and the broiler's on. So we're going to pop these in and let them broil till they're spotty brown and the skins have started to burst. So we're just going to pop these in for 7 to 10 minutes. Perfect. Take a look at these.
Oh.
Nice spots, and you can tell that they've started to burst. Lots of juices in there. It's going to be great.
And they're good and hot.
They are piping hot right now. So we're going to use the food processor for the whole recipe. So I'm just going to transfer them into the food processor bowl now, and we'll let them cool there. Julia, the tomatillos have cooled completely, so we can work on some of the other ingredients for our salsa.
Okay.
I have a small onion here, and I'm just going to give it a chop. These don't have to be super small. We just want to give it a head start. So that onion's just going to give us a nice savory base of flavor. Now we want to add a little bit of heat. So I have a jalapeno. We're just going to cut the stem off, cut it in half. We're going to scoop out these seeds. You can use a paring knife or even a spoon. So if you wanted a slightly hotter salsa, you could save some of those seeds and throw them back in. Now I'll just give these a rough chop. So now we built some savory depth. I'm going to add a garlic clove that I've minced to kind of stay along that vein. Some freshness. I have half a cup of cilantro leaves. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of lime juice. That's about 2 limes. And the other half of those tomatillos. I'm going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I have 2 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil and half a teaspoon of sugar. Now, we don't want this to be completely smooth. We want to have a little bit of chunkiness left behind. So I'm going to pulse this about 16 to 18 times, and we'll check it. So that's 16.
Yes, it was.
Let's check this.
That looks pretty good.
That looks pretty good to me. So we'll just transfer this to a bowl. It makes about 2 cups, and you can make this ahead of time too if you wanted to. It'll be fine in your refrigerator for about 2 days. Now, last but not least, you gotta taste it. Make sure that it's balanced. Wow, it's awesome. It doesn't need a thing. Julia, our salsa's all ready. We have our toppings. Now it's time to deal with this pork. Now I'm gonna strain it. You can use a slotted spoon, or I really love using a spider for this because it really lets a lot of the fat drain.
Yep, I'm with you.
Look at how brown the outside is.
I want you to appreciate the amount of willpower I'm having right now as you put these beautiful pieces of pork right in front of me.
Now, we eat carnitas and tacos. So the meat has to be in fairly bite-sized pieces. These are huge chunks. So I'm just gonna kind of cut through this. We're not looking for perfect pieces, but we do want bite size. Kind of a blend of some of the crispier outsides and the more tender insides. Now, we need to taste this to see if it's seasoned properly.
You don't have to ask me twice. A little more salt.
Just a little bit.
Just a hair.
Now, let's set up these tacos.
Oh, don't be shy.
That's good. So there's our pork and a drizzle of the salsa and a little finely chopped onion, some fresh chopped cilantro, and a drizzle of lime juice just for a little shot of brightness.
Oh, carnitas. I'm gonna do the little fold in the end. You ever do that?
Oh, that's smart. Almost like heading into burrito territory.
I just got chills. This is so good. The flavor of that tomatillo sauce, which is really impressive, mixed with that rich carnitas, is the perfect combination.
It's super fresh, super tangy.
Perfectly cooked, a little silky on the inside, crisp on the outside. Christie, hats off to you. This is the best taco I've ever had. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if you want to make classic carnitas, cut 4 pounds of pork butt into chunks, season with salt, then submerge in lard and cook in a 300-degree oven until it's fall-apart tender. While it cools, broil some tomatillos and use a food processor to make a delicious salsa. Serve with tortillas and fresh cilantro, and you're in for a treat. From Cook's Country, the best recipe for pork carnitas. This is blowing my mind.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.